Welcome to Soul Knowledge. I'm your host, Rocky K of Tune Into Wellness. We are souls having a human experience, and this podcast is where we remember that. Your soul has lived lifetimes. It has a history, a purpose, and a wisdom that goes deeper than anything your mind can analyze. My work through Reiki, hypnotherapy, past life regression, subconscious healing, and intuitive transformation is to help you not just learn about your soul, but to actually know it. Here I'll be sharing real stories from real sessions, lessons from the unseen, and truth telling about what healing really looks like. The messy, mystical, holy, human, sometimes hilarious, often uncomfortable, absolutely life-changing parts of it all. And I'll warn you now, if you don't like the honest language or the occasional well-placed F-bomb, this is not the podcast for you. Because sometimes the most spiritual thing you can say is, fuck this, I'm done repeating this pattern. So let's take a breath. Tune in. Let go of what you think you know. And let's drop into the wisdom your soul's been trying to give you all along. Welcome home. Welcome to Soul Knowledge. Welcome to Soul Knowledge Podcast. I am Rocky with Tune Into Wellness, and today, this is so exciting. I am doing my first interview, but it is with somebody that is super special, and I already feel myself getting emotional.
I already have my tissues ready.
Oh, I don't. Damn it. Anyways, today joining us is Shannon Dillon, and Shannon, she has been with me since I personal trained. We have been together for like 10 years, I think. Is that like sound about right?
Yeah.
She has gone with me through so many versions of myself. I've gone through so many versions of her. Like we have gone through so much. And I mean, when I was like sitting there thinking, who do I want to interview? I mean, you were like my number one, and that's why you are my number one. So, because I mean, shit, girl, we've been gone through so much together.
Yes, ma'am.
So I am so excited for people just to hear your story. I mean, because when you come into sessions, like whether they're the meditations, the girls' night out, whatever, like I always feel like you have like these crazy, like bombs of like wisdom, and I know that's just because it's your story. It's a story. I don't even know how to explain it, but it is a story, and it's a really cool story. So I am excited to have this as our first session together on here, because I feel like everybody is going to need updates too. So you're going to have to come back. So I'm just going to tell everybody now she's coming back. So like, this is going to be good. I'm so excited. So anyway, so here we go. We get to have a little soul conversation, like really start speaking from your soul and talking. So yeah, I am so excited. So I always love starting, with just like the story of the human behind the journey, right? So before all the growth, before all these breakthroughs, before, you kind of jumped into your new business, which we're going to get into, I really just want you to tell me like who you were before I met you 10 years ago. Or even if the journey started sooner than that, like I really would love just to kind of give everybody a background of who you used to be.
Yeah. My story is one of somebody trying to navigate abandonment from childhood. My biological father chose not to have a relationship with me. And so I navigated that through decades of my life, using relationships with men to fill the void, using food to fill the void that I felt from that, using material things to fill that void. And I made choices along the way that, I felt shame for. And so I carried that with me for decades. And, that was kind of where I was when we first met, was navigating that.
Yeah. So maybe let's give just like a little bit more background too. So at that time, so about 10 years ago, you have a daughter.
I do.
And Maya, I love Maya. How old was she then? So was she like maybe 12?
She would have been 12. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, so like she was like 12 years old when I met you. Tell me about how it was up to that point, like raising Maya.
Well, I was a single mother. I raised my single mother basically her whole life. And so, I have a very stressful corporate job. So, but I'm the sole breadwinner and as a single parent, anyone who's a single parent knows you are doing two people's jobs. The mom and the dad and you're the tutor and the chauffeur and the chef and the maid and the all the things, right? So I was doing that while having a very stressful job, but a job that provided a nice living for Maya and I. So that was where I was. And I was also, honestly, when we met, at a really low point in my life with my weight. I was the highest I'd ever weighed. And I remember very distinctly reaching out to a mutual friend, asking her, I said, I need help. It wasn't like I need a referral for a trainer. It was, I need help. So, shout out Kim. Kim referred me to you, and that that relationship really was the very beginning journeys for me of self-care.
Yeah, I remember too when you contacted me. So as a trainer, and honestly, even in my profession, I know the difference when people want help and when people are maybe just kind of playing with the idea. And I remember after I met you, like I was like, this girl is in such a good place. Like she is like really ready, because sometimes, when people would come in and they want to like lose weight, take care of themselves, like I usually have to do some work. And you were like all cylinders fired. I was like, oh, I cannot wait for this. And that might have just been like a little sign for us about like how this was going to roll, right?
Well, yeah, and the other thing was for me, which was so helpful, was that you immediately recognized it wasn't just the number on the scale for me. It wasn't just about the strength. There was a lot of an emotional component to it. And you recognize that. And so, that made it so much easier for me to show up vulnerable and, talk through that part of it while, achieving all the other goals we had. That was a huge thing. And I think why I was successful, in working with you.
Yeah. And it definitely was like, it definitely was an emotional thing. And I mean, I remember you coming into the garage and I'm like, ooh, what Shannon are we getting today?
Yeah. A lot of crying in the garage. There was a lot of crying.
I think we both had our share of tears, right? And there were some days that I was just like, "Girl, this is not what you need to be doing." I remember us sitting on the floor and I'm like, "All right, we're gonna put our feet up this wall and I'm gonna get you calmed down because I didn't want to work out with you that day because like you were really like maxed out on your stress and I was as a trainer, there was no way I could put you through a workout when I knew there's bigger shit going on, and I wasn't even in the space as like what I'm doing now. I mean, maybe I could have helped you out a lot more a little quicker, right?
Yeah, but you had like intuitively you understood those things. So I think it's always been there for you. Even as a trainer, you had those skills and you recognized that.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And I might not have fully recognized them in myself, right? Because it was a different version of me. So, and maybe it was you that kind of pulled them out of me. Like, and maybe it was you that really ignited that shit. People need help on a deeper level. And it's not just the workout. So I know you were definitely a piece of that puzzle. It has pushed me into this space because recognizing that, like we all need, it's not just a workout, right? That's cool. Like, let's get stronger. Super. We all need to be strong, but
And I did. I'd lost a lot of weight. I got really strong. But, and I've told you this before, but one of the biggest lessons that I got out of that time with you was I learned to give myself grace, for progress, not perfection. Because at that time in my life, I walked into, the garage. If I hadn't hit all five of the goals that we had set for me that week, I considered that a failure. and you helped me reframe that. Like, no, you hit 3 of these goals. Be proud of yourself, and we'll work on the other 2. And, that was something that I wasn't doing at the time. And I have taken that lesson with me, all these years forward, to give myself credit for what I have done, even if I haven't done it perfectly, because nobody does anything fucking perfectly. Like it's just what the fuck.
Isn't that true? Yeah, I mean, and I think it's really important to stress the progress over perfection, and that goes for anything in life that, everybody wants to be an all or nothing, and I can't tell you how many people that I've seen, not just in this space, but mostly even in the training space that, like, if, when they go to, like, try to lose weight or diet, like, they have a treat and then they're like, "Well, fuck it, who cares? Like, we're all done here, guys." And that's not how it should be, right? It is that progress and recognizing and celebrating the things that we are overachieving because we need something to build on. And if it's an all or nothing, guess what? We're all nothing. Okay. Like we're all just going to fail. And that's not what this life is about. It's about, evolving. And sometimes it is a slow evolution, right? So tell me, like, do you feel like you were really carrying anything specific, like maybe something that was really heavy back then that now looking back, it doesn't feel so heavy?
Well, I think one of the things that I carried even before then, and through that time was I felt the need to prove myself to the external world because I didn't feel that showing up just as Shannon was enough. So feeling like I had to prove that I was smart enough, that I was capable enough, that I was, attractive enough, successful enough. Like I've just felt constantly like I had to prove that in relationships that I was worthy of being loved, proving in my career that, I'm good enough, I'm successful enough. It was just, and that's a heavy thing to carry.
Absolutely. Was there like a moment like that came to you and you were like, I just can't keep living like this or feeling that way?
Yeah, it wasn't like a light bulb moment, kind of. It was, there were some events that happened in my life that kind of led me there, but I think I had started to become exhausted from carrying that. And so, that exhaustion compiled with things that happened with, my daughter graduating from high school, and the relationship that I had been in for a very long time kind of coming to an end. Those two were the big kind of events that pushed me forward and led me to be ready for the next phase.
Yeah. So tell me about that. Like those moments where they all kind of almost came to a head at the same time. Like what was going on in your head, emotionally? Like kind of give us a little better picture of what that looked like when everything kind of came to a head for you.
Well, I think, with Maya, when Maya graduated from high school and she started to transition to a more independent phase of her life, I did not realize how stressful, which is crazy for me to say out loud now. I did not realize how stressful it was to be a single parent and carrying all of that responsibility for those, 18 years. But when she started to not need me to manage her life and move more to need like a consultant in her life, if you will, all of a sudden I had less to do, frankly. She drive herself around, she can, manage her own schedule. So that lifting that off was one of the big kind of aha moments for me. And then the ending of the relationship. And, what I realized when those two things happened fairly close together was that I had been prioritizing those two things in addition to my career way above myself. I was, fourth, fifth down in the list. And then all of a sudden I had all this free time. And I'm like, well, I don't even know what I like. I don't know what I want to do. I don't know who I am anymore.
And if I'm remembering, and you can correct me, that was when I was transitioning into the coaching. Am I right? That was like all at that time. And I remember having that conversation with you when you were just like, oh my God, I've been so stressed out this whole time. And it was like it was like that light bulb. I mean, maybe if there was like a moment, it was that light bulb popping on. Like you were just like, oh my God, I'm so tired. Like I have been doing so much. And it was like, I'm going to say that light bulb, like it was that like, whoa, crap, this is what's going on. But it was almost that glow from your soul. Like it was just like, oh, that's it. It was that recognition.
I had normalized it. I had normalized that level of stress. And so, and that, any single mother is going to know this. Like, you are in survival mode. You have to do all the things. So you just do them. But I had normalized that level of stress being a single parent, and also the amount of anxiety that I carried in the relationship that I didn't realize I was carrying. When that was released, all of a sudden I felt so much peace. And I was like, I had no idea how stressed I was.
And then so since then, so that's probably been maybe
Over 2 years, over 2 years. Oh, 2.5.
2.5 years. Okay. So in that time, you have really shifted how you live your life and how you go about and how you see yourself and how you feel about yourself. Am I right? So I would love for you to tell about that shift and, anything that's been kind of going on in these past couple years. And, if you've had more light bulb moments, we like light bulbs.
I think one of the first shifts for me was kind of redefining what self-care is. In the past, if you had asked me that, I would be like, oh, I do self-care. I go get manicures and pedicures every 2 weeks, and I'll treat myself to a massage or a new handbag or whatever. Like that was what I thought self-care was. But I started to expand my definition of self-care. And so self-care to me now is saying no, you know, no, I can't, or no, I don't want to, you know, like that was powerful.
Ooh, yes, yes. I mean, how powerful is it when you say that? Like, no, nah, not that, nah, that ain't right.
Not interested. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. And that is you really coming into your power. And I am all here for that. I want everybody to be doing this shit. Okay.
Yeah. And I would just add to that boundaries.
Mm, mm, mm.
You know, one of the things I was so guilty of, just as an example of a boundary that I have implemented is, I mentioned I work in a stressful corporate job and we are given personal time off. And I would take the personal time off, but I would check my email 10 times that day. I would call in to the conference calls while I was on vacation. Like I wasn't honoring my own boundary. I wasn't serving myself by doing that. I felt compelled, like I had a, responsibility to be on, again, the proving myself, right? I'm a hard worker. You can depend on me. I will work through my vacation. No, we're not doing that anymore. Yeah, we're not doing that
Amen. Amen. I love that. I mean, I love that for you. I mean, because I remember old Shannon,
Stressed.
and there is definitely, oh, girl, you were stressed. You would come in. I mean, I remember you coming in, and there were some days I just wanted to like hide in the corner with Frosty, right? And I'm like, will you just walk on the treadmill for a little bit and tell me when it's okay to talk? Girl, you were stressed. And like, I mean, I know I don't see you quite as often as we did when we were training, but like you come in now and there is a difference in how you walk into a room. Like your energy is wildly different. Like, and I mean, I just like, I can't tell you the last time I hid in a corner from you, right?
Yeah. It could be a little spicy sometimes.
Not you.
Yeah.
Me and Frosty, we just sat in the corner. We're like, I don't know. I don't know about this one today. So tell me like a little bit more about this, these past couple of years of taking, like what kinds of things besides saying no and not taking calls on your vacations and doing work when you're not supposed to be and, really taking your time as sacred and valuable. And that's what those boundaries and all of that has done for you. What else are you doing though for you?
I'm doing a lot, I really dove into the healing, right? There was a lot of things that I have to heal, and it's not a done journey. It's probably a lifelong journey, but I've done a lot of work in the past 2 years. But a couple things that I really leaned into, one was journaling. I have been a dear diary since I was, a little girl. And I've always done that, and I kept doing that into this part of my journey, but I learned to journal differently.
Tell me about that.
Well, it's really something that you taught me about how I was prior. I was journaling, just kind of like venting, just getting the stress, the anger out, like retelling on paper the story that was in my head.
And that's very effective too. That's super effective.
It helps. Yeah, it helps.
Yes, it helps. Okay, so let's talk about the evolution.
Yeah, but I didn't always want to use the tool like that. I wanted it to be a place where I would speak positively to myself, right? That was not something I had ever done. I wanted it to be a place where I could let out my fears as well. And all, affirmations. And what's the term that you use and when you're journaling and you're just kind of letting it flow? You're not
That's the automatic writing. You're tuning in.
automatic writing. Hmm.
Yeah, I like to call it tuning in, but automatic writing is probably the more common phrase of saying, and it's just writing whatever comes intuitively. You're intuitively writing. So, yeah.
Yeah. And not trying to control.
Right. Exactly. You just write. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's been a big thing. And then combining that with the meditation. So, I come to your journal and meditation sessions, and that is a really sacred part of my week because I can ground myself. The guided meditation, again, has been another tool that I've really leaned into. And then after the meditation, to be able to journal out, a lot of amazing ideas and things have come out of the journaling that I do after the meditation. So those are, I think, the big ones. And I would also say leaning into community.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we need to be supported and yeah. I mean, nobody wants to be alone. And I really think that's something that kind of came out in COVID. And I think it's one of the good things that came from COVID is that everybody realized they actually really don't want to be by themselves, right? Like we really have clung to community. And I really reflect and look back, how we were pre-COVID. And then we're all just like trying to hop on Zoom calls, FaceTime people. Like we're just like, please talk to me. And then it was just like we were all like magnets. We were all like, come on, let's get together. And me, I like a good gathering, right? So I'm here for it. So yes, community is, but it's also just because we don't want to go through these journeys alone, and you being a single mom, that can get really lonely. And so having a community, and let's put it this way. You can still be married and you can still have children in your household and you can still feel lonely. Okay. And so I think it's really important that we do find our communities where we can show up however we can that day in whatever capacity and we see you. And I think that's really important about the community that we have created here too. Is we got a really cool group of people, right? I mean, the women that are in our Soul Garden Sisters, it's so eclectic, right? Like such an eclectic group of women, and different ages. Like I think we're like into the 50s down into early or definitely early 30s I think that sounds about right for our young ones, but I feel like they're babies, but I love them. So, what is your meditation and journaling? Do you do the intuitive journaling on your own, like without like my
I do.
Okay. What does your practice look like on your own?
Right now, I'd start the morning doing it. I sit down before I start to work, if it's a weekday, and I just take about 10 minutes and I just let it flow, whatever's on my mind, whatever I need to, it might be goals that I want to achieve. It may be, things that I am contemplating. I just let whatever comes come. And that helps me set myself up for the day. I've released all of that. I sit down and then I do my work. But often I find myself in the evening sometimes wanting to do it too. I find in the evening is where I think I contemplate more like things from my past and things that I want to work through. I don't know what it is about the evening for me, but that's kind of a more quiet time where I have time to self-reflect. So I definitely have incorporated the morning time. I kind of stole the name Morning Pages from The Artist's Way, but I do that. And then, if we're doing meditation and journaling, I'm doing that in the evening. So honestly, I'll do it whenever it comes to me. I find it so therapeutic that I just have my little journal, travel around the house with it.
Yeah. So I want to rewind just a little bit just to kind of connect all this together, though. You said you started to journal intuitively, doing more of that automatic, and you wanted it to be a little more positive. How is your journaling now? Like, are you like finding it to be more positive for yourself?
Yeah, that was a really eye-opening thing for me when I just did it intuitively instead of trying to control the narrative in the journal. I was shocked that so much positive thoughts came out onto the paper. The first time I did it, I distinctly remember it was like, I felt like it was like there was a cheerleader inside of me that was just like saying all of these things. And I was like, where have you been? You know, right?
Just waiting for you, girl. They were waiting for you. That's what I always say. It sounds like because when I do my journaling too, it's like you've got this like cheering squad, right? And they're like, dude, we got you. We're here for you. We're supporting you. And you're like, no shit, no way. Like, I remember too. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like, yay. Yeah. And I think that really needs to be distinguished between, journaling the Dear Diary, right? I'm here. I was never a Dear Diary girl. So, my resistance to journaling was there. But this intuitive journaling, like, it's good. And then I've had a lot of people too. They're like, well, I don't want anybody to see what I wrote. And I'm like, well, if you're writing intuitively, it doesn't matter because it's really nice. It is really good and it's positive. So mine are just sitting in my house, and there's a good chance my nosy little 17, oh, now she's 18. My little nosy 18-year-old, she's probably picked up that thing and tried to read, but my handwriting, you can't read it. And those kids, I didn't really teach them how to do cursive. So
Yeah, we're safe. They can't decode the cursive.
I I know. I was just like, she's gonna need a real good deciphering tool. It's like hieroglyphics on the side of a cave where she's trying to decipher there. Anyhow, all right. So, at what point in your healing journey did you start to like find a purpose? Like, or do you feel like you were always been walking in purpose, or was there like a defining moment for you?
No, definitely not.
Okay. Tell me about finding your purpose and really kind of as you're connecting in with yourself.
Well, I think, when you started in your coaching journey and, asked if I would, help, be a client, just, so you could work through the initial stages. I was happy to volunteer for that. And the first thing I really wanted to work on was my purpose, because I had, now I'm not in a relationship. Now my daughter's independent and doing her thing. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing here. I don't feel like I have a purpose, and I really want to find that. So we did work on that. And it's interesting because there had been a part of me that had always recognized that the conversations that I enjoy the most are where, I come away, or the person I'm having the conversation come away with insightfulness, or they are seen and validated, and vice versa. I had always loved those conversations. Those were like my favorite things. And I did recognize that people in my life often came to me to have those conversations. Even in my job, people would kind of seek me out in a mentor way, in a friend way. So that was always in the back of my mind, like that I enjoyed that, but I didn't know what to do with that. And so when we were working on kind of helping me figure out what my purpose was, you mentioned life coaching. You said, I think that you would be very good at this, and I think you should look into it. And honestly, I needed somebody to validate that for me, because it was there, but I was like, when you said you recognize that in me, it almost like gave me permission to be like, okay, because I still had self-confidence issues that I was working on. And I was like, could I?
Yeah. And can we tell the fun story?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is like one of my favorite stories. So I'm a big like sign symbol, like give me a sign, like let me know. And I'm always praying for signs. I'll even ask for a very specific sign. Either way. So Shannon, you go and you pick up a book about life coaching to see if like, yeah, let's entertain this. Like maybe let's see what this is about. Let's see if this feels good, whatever. So I'm going to let you take the story over from here.
Okay. Yeah. So it was the beginning of 2024, I think. And I was working on my vision board. I love a vision board. So I was working on my vision board for 2024. And there was one particular picture that I really was struggling with. I was like, do I want to put this on my board? Do I not? I kept going back and forth on it. And it was just, it was a picture of four people kind of with their backs to the photographer, kind of looking out over the horizon. But something about that picture really spoke to me, and it symbolized something, but I couldn't like really figure out what it was. So ultimately I decide, yes, this picture is going on my vision board. Plop it on the vision board, finish the vision board. The very next thing I do is pick up the book that I had purchased, but I hadn't started reading it. So I start reading it. I'm in chapter 1. At the end of chapter 1, I flip the page over, and there's the picture. The same picture that I had just glued on my vision board. And I was so freaked the fuck out because it was very woo-woo, and I'm into the woo-woo, right? But I was like, holy shit. And I had to call you. I was like, I don't know who else will understand this, but I need to talk to somebody about this.
And you called me, and I am at the field house, which is loud. It's noisy. My daughter's playing indoor hockey, and it is really loud. And you're like, can I FaceTime you? And I'm like, yeah, sure. And I run to the lobby, so it's like not as noisy, right? And we FaceTime. And then you show me this. You're like, Racky. And I'm like, I kind of stopped talking too. I was kind of silenced there, and I was like, "Oh shit, girl. Well, I think we know your purpose."
Yeah. And I was like, okay, I hear you, universe. I got it.
Yeah. And then me, I'm just like, I knew I was right. Okay, another validation. Rocky's always right. Okay, got it. that was, I mean, what a cool story, right? Like, that was like really cool, but that was the universe telling you, yes, girl, like you can do this. And what I think is really important is like me and you and other people that are here trying to help other people, we're on our own journeys. And if you think we're all like healed, we are not. And if there is something in anybody that's listening to this that they want to somehow help people, you don't have to be perfect. Nobody wants you to actually be perfect. They would rather see you kind of have a little bit of a mess going on. So, because we're real, it makes it real and people can really identify with you. So, yeah, like you and I, like we have come a long way together, but we still have a long way to go. Oh,
Yeah. But it's just going to get better. Like that's the difference for me now. When I think about it, I'm like, I'm so impressed with myself on how much I've done, right? And then I think about how much further I can go. And, I know how your trajectory is going to be amazing. Like, it feels so good. And that's a new feeling for me, to not be afraid.
I love that for you. I mean, I genuinely like I can't say enough good things about you, and I've never been able to not. Even days I was like hidden in the corner in the garage, like you're a good human. Like you're a really fucking good human. And I have to say the F-bomb in there because I need that emphasize. Like, and I just want to let people know that when I associate with people, you're a really good person at your core. Like, and and you've been around for a long time, so you got to be some of the best, right?
I passed the test. Yeah.
You I didn't realize I had a test going, but yeah, you passed. I think it's really important, and I love that you're finally seeing what I have always seen. And I love that now you see that you are worthy of this and that you have the ability to help people. Like for me, like, yes, we go through so many things in our lives for a reason. And then there's those of us that are bold enough to alchemize it, right? And then really come in and use the bullshit life gave us to help people get through their bullshit, right? Because you have overcome so much. Like you're able to help people see that when they are buried in stress, even though they have no idea that they are stressed, you're stressed, you know, that there is hope. So let's talk a little bit more. I want to hear more about where you're going with your coaching business and how you intend to help people, or you are helping people now.
I mean, so the fall of this year, I started Boldly Becoming Life Coaching, and I am a certified life coach. And my intention there is just to help any woman who is in survival mode and is ready to make that transition in their life to, you know, be a partner, be a guide, be an accountability partner, if you will. And, if there's anything that I have learned along my way that can make their path easier, I want to be able to give back. I have a special place in my heart, obviously, for single mothers who are navigating that. But, if you're a single mother, if you're single just because you choose to be unpartnered, or you're divorced, or you're widowed, or whatever it is, whatever the circumstances, obviously that really speaks to my heart. But I want to help any woman, who is ready to make that transition and is ready to prioritize themselves.
I love that. And I think any woman that chooses to come and work with you are going to be like just so fortunate because like I said, I love when you are in the room. Like when you come into the meditations and everything, like I'm always like, all right, Shannon, share. Because you always have really good, really beautiful stuff to share. And even though maybe I'm the one guiding the meditation, I learn from you and I learn from the others that show up. that's what makes it a community. Like, I'm just the guy in here. Like, I happen to be the one that pays the rent on the space, right? But like, we're in this together. Like, I'm in my healing journey too. I know that people have given space and you have given space when I've had my stuff happening, and there's been a lot of it lately for me. And so I really do. Like, I always enjoy your insight, your knowledge, your wisdom. Like, I think you're really wise, and I really think anybody that shows up to work with you will be very happy and truly, truly blessed.
Thank you. I think I just want people to be able to know that they can come and it's a judgment-free place. Because I spent so much of my life judging myself, carrying shame for my own mistakes that I made because I was in, a place of sadness and, carrying traumas from my childhood. And, I want them to know that you're not going to be judged here. We want to heal. We want to help.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell me, I want a little bit of wisdom from you, okay? You're like, "Oh shit, here we go." So what is a truth that you live by now that you never understood before?
Then I am enough.
Ooh, we all heard that here. They heard it. It's recorded. We got video. We got sound. I got it all. You are enough. You are enough.
Yeah, I am enough. And I always was. I always was. I just didn't believe it.
That there is some serious soul knowledge too. Well, okay. So tell me now, if we reflect back on your whole story, is there a part that really brings you the most gratitude, that you just feel like still the gratitude as you've gone on this journey?
Whew. I'm grateful for so many things. It's hard to narrow down one. I would say I'm very grateful for the people in my life who have been supportive of me through all the versions of Shannon, right? Even the messy ones, even the ones, when I didn't love myself very much. That's going to make me cry. Those people, and I'll say, in particular, I have two friends who I've known since, gosh, one, I've known Karen since I was in college. So since I was like 18, she's seen a lot.
I have gotten to meet Karen, and I love Karen. Yes.
Yes. And Dawn, who I met right after college, like those two, the people who love you through all the versions of yourself, that's really important. And then I've met people, along the way, like people who have really made an impact in my life. Yeah. So I am grateful for those people and people that I have met in the past year, that community that you have helped build. I was not expecting that. That's like a bonus through all of this, So there's a lot of things for me to be grateful for, but I would definitely say that's a big part.
Yeah. And I think it really is so important for people to have those people that they truly can rely on. And those people that have been with you through so many different versions, I mean, they are true blessings. I've got some of those myself, and I mean, those are your ride or dies, right?
The writers, yeah.
They are with you like through it all, and I continue to count your blessings for them. That gratitude. Oh, that'll fill your heart in a heartbeat, right? Mm. Okay. Now tell me, is there anything else that you're wanting to share? Any gems before we start to come to an end?
I would say, for anybody who doesn't know where to start with their journey in healing, just start with one small thing, one step. for me, it was the journaling, right? To kind of dive back into that and make that part of my routine. But, you know, if you need a place to start in self-care, it can be, I choose to take a walk for 10 minutes outside by myself. I choose to journal. It can be journaling. It can be, any kind of routine. It could be meditation if that's something that you're called to. Just start with one thing for yourself, and then you will build upon it. You will build upon it. And it is not selfish to do things for yourself. You have to take care of yourself to be helpful to anybody in your life, much less yourself. And you will see the repercussions or I would say the ripple effects, the positive ripple effects when you start to take care of yourself. If you don't take care of yourself, you will see the repercussions in your life as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Tell me, because we were talking about progress over perfection. Do you meditate and journal every day?
I do not.
Hmm. About how often do you think you do it?
I do it maybe 3 to 4 times a week. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And if you miss something, it's not in doomsday, right?
No.
Yeah, because I don't meditate and journal every day either. And I think everybody thinks that if they miss days, then, well, fuck it, forget it, we're done. And I think it's just really important for people to know that that practice is always sitting there. It's always waiting for them, regardless of how the day is going. Do I love to do it first thing in the morning, right? Like, it's nice to have a practice just to kind of set the tone for the day, but it's not something that has to be done every day.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that. And one thing at a time. Do one thing. All right. Is there anything else you got?
No, I mean, thank you. Thank you for honoring me with being the first guest on your podcast.
Duh, of course you are.
I think like if someone had told us 10 years ago this was where we would be, I don't know what either one of us would have thought of that. But here we are.
Right. All right. So you get my last final question that everybody's going to get. Okay. And so that question is, what is one moment in your journey when you truly tuned in, when you felt your soul guiding you?
It was definitely when I identified that I wanted to do the life coaching. I think that was a big moment for me. And, knowing that is something I'm passionate about, that I'm qualified to do, and that I love doing. And then I just really feel like it was kind of a rocket trajectory for me from that point. So yeah, for me, that was it.
I think it's really important too that people know that when we're really walking in our soul's purpose, it does. It takes off like that. It is like, and the same thing with my journey. I personal trained. I loved it. I had to step away, and it was a blessing stepping away. But when I stepped back into it, and when I really said, I am going to help people on a deeper level, it was the same thing. It was the same thing. And when we are walking in purpose, when we are walking in our soul's purpose, and I want people to know too that this does not have to be your income. It does not have to be a source of income. Your purpose is not necessarily tied to money. So when people sit down and try to work out what their purpose is, that do that. But when we are walking in that purpose and we are coming from a place of love and serving, that shit will work. It'll take off. Shannon, thank you. Thank you so much. My heart is so full after this. And I am excited to have you back eventually just to see how you're doing. And so that, we really can hear how Boldly Becoming is continuing to rock it out. So I really appreciate you coming in here and telling, a good chunk of your story, and, people that are listening, I hope if her story, really speaks to your soul, that you go and you do her action item. She said, go, just do one thing. One thing. And she doesn't do it every day, y'all. She does it 3 to 4 times a week. Okay. It doesn't have to be every day. And even if it's just once a week for right now, that's good because it's progress, not perfection. Are we right? Yes. So if you are feeling stuck, you're feeling overwhelmed, you are that woman that needs a little love, I want you to call up Shannon. She is boldly becoming. We will have all of her contact info in the show notes. Shannon, I love you. Love you. I adore you. And thank you. Thank you so much. Honestly, for
I love you.
there's the tears.
Your turn.
I know. I was like, uh-oh. Thank you for trusting me all these years.
Of course.
It means a lot. Whew, okay.
Okay, we did it.
And if you are listening, please go follow Shannon on her social media platform. Give her the cheers, give her the love. And if you need her help, please, please, please go find her. She is amazing. Or if you just want to kind of be in both of our energy, you guys can come to a meditation and she's there Tuesday nights, 7 p.m. So either way, I hope you all have a super beautiful, magical day. Thank you for tuning in and for doing this work, not just for yourself, but for everyone connected to you. If this episode stirred something in you, trust that. Share it, leave a review, send it to someone whose soul needs it. Your voice and your ripple matter. And if you're ready to go deeper, to explore your past lives, heal your patterns, reconnect to your soul, or work with me one-on-one, head over to tuneintowellness.com or connect with me on Instagram. Until next time, trust what you feel, honor what you know, and remember, your soul already has the answers. Be bold, be light, be you. I'll see you next time on Soul Knowledge.